girl, Nnenna Madu. Last week, we talked about cost-saving strategy in this pandemic. And as we can see, it is getting tougher by the day. Like, these numbers, they stay increasing. My goodness. And this week, we are looking at how to eliminate work effectively. Yes, how do you eliminate those works that will just bring you much more money, those works that the value that they bring in is not up to the money that is being spent on them. Yes, we have all those departments in our offices that their budget is always over the roof, and what they are bringing to the table is like not even up to 1/3. So how do you eliminate those works effectively? Number one, look into the departments in your organization and eliminate those positions that seem similar to each other. Yes, this is going to totally be at your discretion, because we all have different kind of industries and we have different positions, but all those positions that seem alike. Example, and this is totally not a shade to if your position, if I'm not mentioning any position, I'm just mentioning position that seem to have things like license or things like coordinator, something license, except if you're a very international brand that has branches all over the world. I do not see any reason to have those kind of things, especially if you have an HR in the company. What's the point of having a coordinator or a license? And this is totally just an example. So look into all those departments that seem to be alike and try to eliminate them out of the organization. You do not need that, especially at this time, at this COVID period. You do not need those kind of positions to occur. You can merge it as one. One person can be a coordinator and a license officer or whatever. Or if better still, if you have an HR, there is no need for you to have these unnecessary positions that have little or nothing to do, because you're going to be a coordinator. You're going to have to pay some form of fees to them that is really ridiculous, and at the end of the day, there's really nothing there's just very little value that can easily be managed by one person that they are bringing to the table. Another thing is, how about those services? How about those services that you might be paying for that you no longer require? Those subscriptions that you have going on in your offices that you really do not require them to show, you don't require whatever information that they are looking at. You might tend to forget those services. So let's bring it home a little. So there are some apps that probably someone told us about on our phones that we rush to go and download, and we use maybe once, and it was wow, oh wow, this kind of app exists, and we don't even get to use them anymore. So those are some of those apps. They are paid, some of them they are free, but guess what? Your system, your phone still somehow automatically updates those applications, or automatically pay renew payment for those subscriptions. And you might say, oh, it's just data, but it's an expense. It is money. It is something that you're to be giving out for something that you are not even required to use. So look into those services in your company, those subscriptions that maybe because of data or information you have subscribed to them, and probably they are yearly or monthly renewal or something, and they are being renewed, but you do not necessarily need them because these informations are available when you need them. So you really do not need this exclusive subscription to them. Look into those kind of services and completely eliminate them. Stop the subscription, stop paying for it, so that you can eliminate and effect your work properly especially in this pandemic. The thing that I think we should talk about is business requirements. So let me ask you a question. What are your business requirements? What were your business requirements before this pandemic and what are your business requirements at this COVID pandemic. Trust me, they are not going to be the same. If they are the same, then you are doing something wrong. So that you'll be able to map it out and gain an insight of what to do and what to stop doing. Yes, when you list out these business requirements of what you usually used to do during the what do they call it, before the pandemic, you can at least be able to remove the things that you really do not do in this COVID-19 period, and that way you can gain insight as to what your business really needs at this time, and that will help you to have effective work and eliminate unnecessary work. Apart from your business requirements, how is your operational schedule at this COVID-19 period? What are the things? What is your operation like? Is it very lucrative and booming at this time, or is it slow paced? How is the personnel working in your company relating to this operational schedule? Are there some people that really do not have much to do? Can you adopt the method of hourly rate in case your operations are not very booming? So most of us are working from home, right? And some people probably do not really have something that a lot of things on their desks because there is no physical office presence and everybody's at home. Can you map out those people and try to adopt the hourly rate pay? Yes. So if someone is going to work for 2 hours, but this will need monitoring. So there are so many different ways and application of how you can monitor your workers to do their jobs effectively. If you would like to know, follow me on @Nnenna Madu for me to share these tips, because I'm sharing tips every other day. So you need to follow me so that you can know these applications that you can use. So you can adopt the hourly rate pay so that people log in when there is really something that they need to do and need to do fast, and then they log out and they get paid according to the hours. Yes, this is how to have effective work in this period and eliminate any work that is not efficient. So another thing that you should be looking at is addressing your collation and information system. So are there some things that you need to report all the time before COVID? And at this COVID, since it is only COVID that we are hearing every other day, can you reduce these things? And instead of making it daily, you can at least make it a weekly report or a monthly. If the informations are being expected from someone to be given out every day, you see that at this point in time, training reports at this COVID-19 period can be unnecessary, it can be tiring, it can be overwhelming. So instead of giving daily reports, you can do it bi-weekly, you can do it monthly or weekly. I know, can you see where I'm going? Tell yourself the truth. All those people that need to do these things, they are not really doing much anymore. So they need to cut down on what they are doing so that you can also be able to have a backup to relieve them of unnecessary things and probably put them on things that are very necessary and they're going to bring you value. Another thing is, I know I mentioned last week that you should try to hold your meetings via Zoom and online. But the truth is that if you're trying to get effective work, you need to cut down on unnecessary low value meetings, those meetings that are not necessary. Let's tell ourselves the truth. There are so many unnecessary meetings that a mail could have just covered. So instead of gathering and paying for a Zoom subscription or paying for a Skype subscription and stuff like that, why don't you just send an email? Why don't you just send an email and express what you need to express, put people in copy and get it over with, instead of all those expenditures. You need to know if you're going to be paying, if you're going to subscribe to an annual Zoom or if you're going to do monthly. So you need to know how many meetings you're going to be having and make sure they are not unnecessary meetings. Think of other ways that you can meet. There are some meetings that are highly important because you need to explain and get feedback, and getting emails can, like email exchange can be confusing sometimes, but there are some that everybody is speaking the same language, everybody is speaking the same language, so you can understand it. Anybody that passes by can understand it. So what's the point of holding these meetings anyway? So instead of wasting money getting all those Zoom subscription and all whatnot, please send an email and stop low value meetings. Lastly, finally, what are your most expensive departments and what are your cheapest departments in terms of budgetary and in terms of yearly budgets? How can this department make you money? Yes, you need to think of how this department can make you money. How best can you utilize this department in this pandemic? How best can you cut to the most minimal the budget of this department, their cost and their expenses? How best can you cut them? If you can answer these questions effectively and correctly, then that means you are on your way to efficiently cutting and eliminating work in your company, especially in this COVID period. Please know that anything that you're doing is a temporary measure for you to survive in this pandemic. After this pandemic is over and every economy gets back to normal, then you can fly away and be the best company and be the best employer that you can be to your staff. But for now, let us take shield, because we do not know what the days are going to be ahead of us. We do not know what is ahead of us, so we need to be very as much as we try to foresee what the future is going to be like, we need to have these temporary measures so that they can protect our businesses. You need to join me next week, because I am releasing fire for businesses, especially in this pandemic. We restored back to normal after this pandemic. So guys, we've come to the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe, comment, like my page, and share this message. Someone might need it out there. Till next time guys, see ya, bye.